No, I don't think so.
I think he's in third on the same lap. He may be about to go down a lap.
It makes no difference now because they'll allow this gone by him whether he was on the same lap or a lap down, but I do think he was a lap down with you, Paul.
Al Unser Jr. tries to pull away from Scott Pruitt. Battle in the closing laps of the Michigan 500. Adrian drifts up. Scott comes down. They almost get together.
Not only going to be a contest of speed, but a contest between the Ford and the Mercedes. Not only in speed, but the mileage. It's going to be close for both of them, is my guess.
It's going to be incredibly close. They stopped 6 laps ago. The 203rd lap.
All green laps. We think that they'll go about 40 to 42 laps.
Well, you want to do that math, it doesn't sound like they're going to make it.
Well, they might. They had a little bit of yellow there, Paul, and they're going to run them lean. They're probably going to run them in high gears. Both of them are in the same problem.
Well, wait a minute. You run an engine lean in temperatures. One of the pits was reporting 102 degrees down there. You lean the engine down, and now what's going to happen?
Well, it might blow it, but these guys gamble a lot. Remember, winning is the only thing that's important.
Remember, Pruitt.
Side by side down the backstretch with Emerson Fittipaldi.
Remember Pruitt's desperate bid at Indianapolis, the last laps. He ran into oil there, crashed. He was bitterly disappointed, in tears at the end of that. He has slumped a little bit since then. They'd had a great early part of the season. This is the best he has done for some time. This is the big one, and he could win it.
Well, I looked down, looked up, saw that Penske car there. Let's get an update on Danny Sullivan. Finally, here's Gary Gerould.
Well, we had a chance to talk with Paul Harkus, who works on the crew for Danny, who was over here at the safety center very concerned. He's headed back to the pits now. He said Danny was complaining of pain in the foot, the knee, and the pelvis, and there are plans to air evacuate him to Foot Hospital, I believe, in nearby Jackson, Michigan. So they'll, of course, undergo observation and further testing and so forth. That's the information we have from Paul Harkus at this point with the team.
Well, we were worried about head damage. That's what worried us most. So in a lot of ways, all of that kind of damage sounds better to us. Thank you, Gary.
Well, and let's emphasize that that's Paul Harkis's description. We still don't have a medical description from IndyCar. 38 laps to go.
Danny had been contemplating retirement of a sort, so this comes at a very tough time decision-making wise for him.
Emerson Fittipaldi held Pruitt up there a little bit. And for one lap, he came around 0.6 behind and then 67/100ths behind. So he dropped back just a little bit.
Little teamwork, maybe.
I think Emma would naturally try to help his teammate as much as he could. But this racetrack, being newly paved again, the grooves are all over the place. So there's ample place to pass here no matter where you are on the track.
Pruitt 1.5 seconds back. Pruitt, of course, has never won an IndyCar race. Al Unser Jr. has won 28, including races here.
Let's also keep in mind that if either one of these two drivers, Lyle's in the front, Pruitt's right behind him, both look like kind of white on the screen there. Both of them, if they really, really, really run them hard, stand a good chance of breaking between now and the end.
Good set of corners for Pruitt. He closes in.
He's 1.1 back now. Good situation with Goodyear's incredible win streak, over 300 races consecutively on the line. Obviously right now as Pruitt pursues in his Firestone shot car. That's on the line.
All right, here's what we have from IndyCar thus far on Danny Sullivan. He has injuries. They're not defined, but he is conscious. That's all we have on Danny Sullivan from IndyCar officials at this moment. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, here's the story on Scott Pruitt. They are going to have to conserve fuel and conserve it in a big way. The telemetry and the hand figuring have given them the following. They need to average 2.147 miles per gallon in order to go the 250 lap distance here without coming into the pits again.
Well, Jack, he's trying to position himself to pick up a draft, that's for sure.
No, Sam, he's got a draft. He's had a draft since they threw the green.
Yeah, but is that another way to save mileage?
It is. In fact, that's what I was trying to interrupt you to tell you. Is Scott's gaining on this. I would disagree with Penske's and Little Al's theory. Little Al should be trying to run back and get the advantage of the draft helping the fuel mileage. What happens if you get a good enough draft, you can put it into the overdrive gear and go as fast as you would in your racing gear.
Yeah, I think Pruett used a little of his fuel to close up enough so that he could use the draft. Don't you, Bobby? Good tactic.
He's got a good draft right now.
That's a beauty right
Little
there.
Al on the other side of the coin is cutting clean air all the way. He's having to run more power or more throttle to run the same speed.
What would you do if you were sitting in Little Al's car? Would you back out and let Pruett around you?
No, I wouldn't back out now. They should have done that before. There's no time to be jockeying back and forth and make gains. The gain or the decision had to have been made when it went from yellow to green. And remember, this is the last segment to the end of this race.
And remember, too, they have a huge lead over the third-place car of Adrian Fernandez. He's back in third, fully a lap and change back. This is a two-way race.
And fuel is very definitely going to determine it. But if fuel is a problem for both of them, boy, that throws the door open. Benny Parsons was up here yesterday to cover some racing with us, the International Race of Champions. Said he was going to watch this from the couch today, and what he may be seeing is that good old NASCAR tactic at the finish, where Scott Pruett just kind of hangs in there, and tries to run down one side or the other at the finish. Let's go to Gary Gerould.
Well, let's get the story now on Team Penske and their strategy. We can't get a definitive number like we got from the Patrick team as we see a picture now of Danny Sullivan going by helicopter to Foot Hospital in Jackson, Michigan. They'll take him in for further observation, as we indicated. Now, with Roger Penske in the camp down here, they say, yes, it is going to be tight on fuel, but the radio we're monitoring indicates to Junior that fuel is okay. It may be a bigger concern is the wear that we talked about earlier on the tires. Remember, Firestone right front, Goodyear right rear. Will that come into play? How much do you have to save those tires with now just under 30 laps to go?
And the leaders come up on Jack Villeneuve, who just moved into 12th position. That's worth 1 point. He needs more than one.
And believe it or not, Villeneuve was helping Little Al, not hurting him. He needs the tow that he can get. Now, another thing, keep in mind, so everybody should know, both of these cars, Little Al and Pruett, both have telemetry. That means that they're on-car computer transmits to the pits. The engineers are sitting there figuring out their mileage every lap that they go around.
So the battle continues. When we come back, it'll be a run to the finish. We'll take you all the way to the checker. Nothing has changed at the Michigan 500. Scott Pruett remains on station behind Al Unser Jr. Best guess, Bobby and Sam, is that he wants to stay there. He wants to stay in the tow, and he'd like to save fuel by doing so. My question then becomes, as they begin to overhaul slower traffic ahead, that's DeFerrin and Fittipaldi. My question is there a concern on how much air ends up in the coolers of the second car, in this case Scott Pruett's car, when you're in the draft like that? Do you have to get them out into clean air?
No, not really. What he's doing is really smart. When you've got that much distance behind, like Scott is from Little Al, you're picking up a fair good draft because they're running 250 miles an hour down the straightaways approximately. So he's getting a good draft but not hurting the radiator.
Identical speeds the last lap. Danny Sullivan is conscious, being transported to Foot Hospital and being checked for a possible fracture to the pelvis. He is alert, awake, and otherwise appears to be okay. Now, what about Lynn St. James, Gary Gerould?
Well, here she is, and I know disappointed, but we're happy you're healthy. Tell us what happened now. Just the case of an engine letting go?
No, I think actually a right front tire probably went. I don't know for sure, but I called in and said I had corner entry push for the first time. I hadn't had that. I'd had corner exit and apex push, but that was the first time I had an indication of that. And if the tire held going into the corner, but then it just let go. I mean, something let go because all of a sudden the car just was a missile. And unfortunately, I had a long time to have to wait and see him pull Danny out, but I think he's going to be okay. And it's just another disappointing, we were really running well. The race was coming to us. We were getting better with the setup on the car, and I was learning a lot, and we were hoping to have a good finish.
Scott Pruett makes a move now as Al Unser Jr. runs slow and appears to slow and heads for the pits. Tactics, is that what we're looking at?
Little Al, no tactics there. Little Al has a problem. Very definitely has a problem.
So the Penske team goes to work on the car. Look at the right rear.
Tire.
Look at that. Blisters on the right rear. Scott Pruett takes the lead of the race. 230 laps complete, 20 to go. Al Unser Jr. back into the fight.
And still in second place with Fernandez still third, I assume.
So now what does Jim McGee tell Scott Pruitt? Lean that thing out or go ahead and richen it up?
No, he's going to...
Sorry, Bobby.
He's definitely got to tell him to go easy now. Not stop, but just go easy. He has no competition left. Adrian Fernandez is
Hey, we'll find out. We'll find out. Jim McGee, what do you tell Scott Pruitt now?
Bring it home.
Got your answer for you guys.
Oh, yeah, that was a clarifying answer.
Yeah, really. I know a lot more now.
Bring it home means be careful. Don't make any stupid mistakes now.
Remember, Jim McGee was Nigel Mansell's crew chief in that great year Nigel had when he won the championship coming right off his World Championship. And so he is the voice of experience in this kind of stuff. And I'm sure when Scott Pruitt hears a word from Jim McGee, he listens.
Now Scott's got the responsibility of really using his head. They won't run the engine lean. Won't take any chance he doesn't have to because he really doesn't have any problems as far as competition right now.
Right now he has a full 30-second lead over second place Al Unser Jr. But remember how fast that happened to Al Unser Jr. Could the same happen here, Gary?
Well, here's a visual look. If we can get the shot, the tires are being wheeled back, and you can clearly see that strip of blisters from the rear tire. That's been the concern today. Right front Firestone, right rear or Goodyear. They've been adjusting air pressures, and somehow this set did not come up to function under that setup, and great disappointment, obviously, for Junior.
And there's just the kind of thing that Scott Pruitt's going to have to be careful of. Christian Fittipaldi coming up on the inside as Scott overhauled Stefan Johansson.
You know, Scott can, if he blistered that right front that you see right now in his car, he could live with that a whole lot easier than little Al could live with the right rear being blistered. If your rear being blistered, that means that it's loose. That means he had a loose rear end. That's the one part that you can't live with.
Make no mistake, this is the high point of Scott Pruitt's whole career, a difficult career at best. Badly injured back in 1990, fought back from that, finally made his way back into IndyCars, but had a bad couple of years. Then this opportunity opened up. Began the season so successfully, then mid-season frustration. This could put all that behind him. This is the greatest moment so far of his career if he can keep it together.
Nobody else in contact, no other battles on the race course. Christian Fittipaldi running down there low behind Scott is in 10th place. 25-second lead over second place Al Unser Jr.
See, he could sacrifice a lot of time. There's only 15 laps to go. He could almost sacrifice 2 seconds a lap and still make it. So he's definitely going to be in the highest gear. Look at Fittipaldi coming by Christian. Now you know darn good well he's not trying very hard.
Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, one of the great things when you're at the controls of a race car, you've got a lot to concentrate on. But these guys here, their work is done. Right now, butterflies have become bullets in their bellies because they can't do anything to win or lose this race right now. It's all up to their driver, Scott Pruitt. And many of the crewmen on Pat Patrick's team are very much alone with their thoughts right now.
Nice and easy, Scott. Nice and easy. We're in good shape. Take it nice and easy.
There's another unseen team that's sitting there tensely, which is the Firestone team, waiting to break that long Goodyear streak should Pruitt manage to bring this one home.
Yellow, yellow,
Yellow.
yellow.
Car into the wall and into the wall big time. Zampedri. And DeFerrin locks him up to get past it, but Zampedri throws the steering wheel out, so apparently he's okay. The question now is going to be how long will it take to make repairs? And what it does do is closes up the 23-second gap between Scott Pruitt and Al Unser